All right, so what you want to study for in your final is your exams. I open them all back up so you can see the questions, um, and the answers should be there as well. So you want to go through those, but it's a lot of problems. So I want to kind of reduce it a little bit. So I'm going to go through and give you the topics, not by module, but just by topic. Okay, so hopefully this will help. The final is 40 questions, 3 hours to complete should be enough time. And it'll be similar to your test. The problems are very similar to your test. You're just going to be kind of asked I don't know, maybe the most important ones. So, all right, let's start. So, I would say the first topic is ratios. Okay, so that's kind of what you started with. So, there'll be maybe a couple just basic given numbers, write the ratio, which is a fraction, reduce it. There's some word problems to go with that. Think units, gallons per second, meters per second, miles per hour, things like that. You're going to be given a little information and asked to find out what the gallons per minute rate is. Right? There might be some conversions with these as well, which is another topic. I got that is listed as 3. I'll talk about that in a minute. What other kind of ratio questions do you see? There's the geometric ones where you'd have to make a ratio of like the width to the height or the length to the perimeter. Okay. And you're always going to reduce those as a fraction. My next topic is probability and percentages, and there's some financial questions that come with those. So you should remember these. You should be able to find them pretty easily on your test, the ones I'm talking about. Given a certain probability, answer questions about it. Think about that glowing embers example. Calculate percentages giving certain information like tax, rebate, revenue, sales. Given some information, asked what percentage of the total revenue is this. Things like that. Conversion. So I talked a little bit about this. So this might come up in the ratios as well. So the basic conversion questions, inches to yard, grams to kilograms. Let me highlight what you can put on your formula sheet. So your formula sheet I gave you for the geometry one was kind of big. It's got all the volumes and surface areas and all that stuff on there. So I'm going to let you add to that, and you can just have this in front of you. Formulas only. This formula, Celsius to Fahrenheit, and any conversions you want, you can have on there. Inches to yard. I think I remember a question like 3 weeks and 5 days. How many hours is that? That's a conversion, right? You have to know how many days are in a week, and then how many hours in a day, and so on. All your metric stuff, grams to kilograms, and then sometimes you're asked to go from one unit to the other. Liters to cubic centimeters, I think was one from one of your tests. Also the square units, those are a little trickier. Square meters to square feet, something like that. Okay. And again, if you want to see any specific examples, let me know. I'm just trying to give you an idea of what you'll see, and you should be able to find these problems without too much trouble. Conversions, like I said, there'll be basic ones, convert 20 yards to inches. And then there'll be ones that are in word problems, right? Or convert 46 degrees Fahrenheit to Celsius. And then you'll find the word problems where there'll be a conversion in there. You just have to kind of figure out what it is, right? Which is a pretty common question in the course. Okay. Basic arithmetic. So think about what you had to do in this section. Absolute value, calculating a balance. You make deposits, withdrawals, just adding and subtracting. What's your final balance? Scientific notation. I give you a number in scientific notation. You convert it to what's called standard notation, and vice versa. Be able to put, 1,600,000 into scientific notation. Be able to put 1.6 times 10 to the sixth in standard notation. Order of operation, those are always tricky, right? Those are the ones that I think there's a couple on there. Say do this. Absolute value plus 4, I don't know, something like that. Maybe you have a squared in there. right? So you always start. It's that please excuse my dear Aunt Sally thing where parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, same level, addition, subtraction, same level. Okay, so you start here, do the parentheses, do the exponents, then subtract, then take absolute value, then you add the 4. What else? I think that's it for basic arithmetic. Maybe some, again, 2 types of problems for each of my topics, the basics, and then maybe there's some kind of word problem associated with. With these ones, I don't know. A lot of them will be basic. This will be a real basic word problem. Okay, let's talk about algebra. Now, let's see. I put slope in here. Slope is a topic in the last chapter, but I'm just grouping all the algebra stuff together. When I say algebra, think about your exponent rules, right? What's x to the 6th over x to the 5th? That's one of your rules where you subtract x to the 6th over x to the 5th equals x to the 6 minus 5, x to the 1st, or just x. Algebraic expressions, that kind of looks like these ones, only there's a bunch of x's in it, right? So you got to combine like terms, do your distribution property, all that kind of stuff. Formulas was a big topic here. I give you a formula and you solve. Well, I guess we can start with the basic algebra one. That's solving an equation. 3x minus 4 equals 18, or maybe a little more complicated like that. That's solve. Add 4, divide by 3. That would be your steps. But we could also do this. Let's say it was 3x minus, you remember these ones are always tricky. I throw in another variable and ask you to solve this for y. So to solve that for y, you'd have the idea is the same. You're going to subtract this over, but you can't subtract 3x from 18. It'd be 18 minus 3x. Then you divide by -4, right? We call those formulas, and there's a lot of other letters other than x or y. Sometimes you'll plug in values to those formulas, and sometimes you'll just have to solve them like this for the given variable. Let's see. Recent topic was finding the slope given the equation, and you'd also have to do that with a graph. So that's what's due this Sunday. And that's what I'm calling the algebra portion. And then there's some word problems that go with there, like you'll see some slope problems on your Module 8 test as a word problem. Okay. Trig geometry. So remember these. There's a little bit of trig in the course. Sine, cosine, tangent. You have to solve a triangle for a given side. This could be in the conversions, radians, degrees. You could add that to your formula list if you want. Any conversions are allowed. Given a diagram, so that on test, what test was that? I think 7. There's a lot of diagrams or images of geometric stuff. You had like 2 parallel lines cut by a transversal. Find the angles. You remember these? And then we give these guys names, and you'd have to use your geometry properties there. Also, triangle stuff for my, what am I calling? 6D. There's 180 degrees in a triangle. So if you're given 2 angles, you can find the third, subtracting 180. And this was the formula sheet. A bunch of these guys were on the formula sheet. You can be asked to find perimeter, area, volume, lateral area, all that stuff. And some basic word problems, but those you're usually given the picture and you have to just kind of find that value. And then finally, I just kind of threw this last one in. This is from the last test, Module 8, where you're given some graphs and they just ask you some information from the graph, or you might have to predict like future values from that. Okay, so that is a really brief, I guess I wouldn't call it a review, I call it a topic overview. When you want to review your test is going to be your best review, but this is just hopefully narrows it down a bit. If you can do this stuff, you should be good for the final. Remember, the final is due Friday at midnight, not the usual due date of Sunday. Okay, if you have any questions about this or anything else, just let me know. Shoot me an email.